your paycheck every month into your qualified plan. When does your money belong to you? Immediately. That's right. It's your money. So here we're talking about employee ownership of employer contributions. You're going to vest in those contributions typically over a period of time. There's two different schedules. One is CLIF that says at the end of the third year you're 100% vested in your employer contributions, or there is a graded vesting schedule where you're 20% vested by the end of your second year, 40% by the end of your third year, 60% by the end of your fourth year, 80% by the end of your fifth year, so that by the end of the sixth year of contribution, you're 100% vested. Why do companies like these schedules? They're done to hopefully retain employees. Employees are very expensive to train, so having these vesting schedules says that, hey, if you quit after 6 months, you get your contributions, but you don't get ours, basically. So vesting must occur. These qualified plans must be non-discriminatory. They can't be set up in favor of some workers and worse for others. They're set up either as a defined benefit plan, where everybody gets the same retirement benefit after they've worked here for 20 years or 30 years, or more often today you'll see a defined contribution plan, where everybody gets put in 2% or 3% of their salary. Defined contribution and defined benefit are both types of qualified plans. It can't be set up so that it's 2% for some workers and 10% for others. It must be non-discriminatory. Eligibility guidelines under ERISA, I need you to feel comfortable with. Eligibility guidelines say you must be 21 years of age, full-time, and have worked for this employer for 1 year of service or more. Really what ERISA does is sets forth the worst it can be. Employers can always choose to be better than ERISA. But under ERISA, if you work there 1 year, you're full-time, and you're 21 years of age, if it has a qualified plan, it must include you. The money that goes into a qualified plan is in pre-tax dollars, so that none of the money has been taxed before. The cost basis in a qualified plan is 0. Any money the employer puts in is tax deductible for the employer. Any money the employee puts in is in pre-tax dollars, so that none of the money has been taxed before. The cost basis in a qualified plan is 0. Upon withdrawal, it is 100% taxable as ordinary income, because none of the money in there has been taxed before. 100% taxable as ordinary income upon withdrawal. Distribution rules. So all qualified plans have distribution rules. The distribution rules say that you must start taking money out. Distribution rules. Distributions must begin no later than April 1st of the year after you turn 70 and a half. So that's true for all qualified plans. Distributions must begin, which would make sense to say that contributions must cease. Contributions must cease by 70 and a half. Stop putting money in, start taking money out. Would you retire already? Is basically what it's saying. If you don't start your required minimum distribution, you can have a IRS penalty of 50% of the required minimum distribution. So you do need to make sure that you start taking the money out and stop putting the money in. Rollovers are allowed from one qualified plan to another, at most 1 time a year. You need to do the rollover within 60 days of the distribution to defer tax. If you don't do it within 60 days, it would be considered a taxable event. It's best to do it directly from one trustee of a qualified plan to the other. Then you don't have to worry about touching the money at all yourself. premature distributions. Now these are retirement plans. They're saving money for retirement. So if you ever need to get into this money before you are getting near to retirement age, let's say, you're going to have early withdrawal penalties. Early withdrawal penalty. An early withdrawal penalty is 10% if you take money out under age 59 and a half. So remember, the money that you take out, let's say you take out $10,000 and you're 55. The $10,000 that you take out is taxable as ordinary income. You're in the 30% tax bracket, plus a 10% penalty because you're under the age of 59 and a half. They will waive the penalty for death or disability, sometimes for divorce as well. So, and first-time homebuyer expenses, typically they'll waive the penalty for up to $10,000 out of a qualified plan for first-time homebuyer expenses. But these are the two big ones for the test, death and disability. They will waive the penalty. Or annuitization. You can annuitize your retirement account at any point. Specific types of qualified plans. So there is an IRA. There is the ability to put in to a traditional IRA depending upon the year. Every year there is contribution limits. These tests tend to not be about what is the limit. It's just how much can you put into a traditional IRA. I'll tell you for 2007 you can put in $4,000. If you're age 50 or older, you are allowed a catch-up contribution of $1,000. So if you were 52 into your traditional IRA this year, you could put $5,000 or your earned income, whichever is less. So this is 2007's contribution. Now, no, every year contribution limits they do change. And the catch-ups also change over time. So if you're the working spouse and you have a non-working spouse, you can also establish a spousal IRA for a non-working spouse, and they can put in whatever the limit is and then a catch-up depending upon their age. You have until April 15th of the following year, which is tax due date, to fund this IRA account. I would definitely feel comfortable with that. The money that goes into a traditional IRA may or may not be tax deductible. So there's a two-step rule that says that if you make too much and you have a qualified plan where you work, then the money that goes in to a traditional IRA is an after-tax dollars. So really that's beyond the scope of an insurance test. It's something we will discuss in a securities class. Know, however, that if the client would like to, depending upon their income level, they could take this limit, $4,000 plus the one depending upon their age, and instead put it into a Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA is always funded with after-tax dollars. After-tax dollars go into the Roth. The earnings will be federally income tax free. Federally income tax free. If they are what are called qualified distributions, which means paid out on or after 59 and a half, and the account must have been opened for 5 years or longer. So the money that goes into the Roth IRA is in after-tax dollars. Now, not everybody can have a Roth. Once you start to earn too much every year, the income phase-out levels will change. After too much earnings, they won't allow you to put money into a Roth IRA at all. I would like you to know that the SEP IRA is a qualified plan for a small business. A SEP IRA, Simplified Employee Pension Plan. So this is for a small business. I'd like you to know that a KEO is a qualified plan. named after Senator Keogh, for the self-employed. So a Keogh is a qualified plan for the self-employed. Last but not least is the TSA. TSA stands for Tax Sheltered Annuity. It is the only annuity where the money goes in pre-tax dollars. So that the cost basis in this qualified plan is what? 0. That's right. And there's different ones that you can have. There's 403Bs, which are for teachers. It's really public school employees, not private school. And 501c3s. So these are the internal revenue codes that describe the TSA that nonprofits are eligible for. So tax sheltered annuities. That is a review of the types of qualified plans you need to feel comfortable with for this test. Non-qualified plans do not follow ERISA. Non-qualified plans are discriminatory. Deferred compensation is an example of a non-qualified plan. So let's say that I own a business and I have 50 employees. I allow you, and only you, to sign up for the deferred compensation plan. Does that sound fair? Well, not to everybody else. It is discriminatory. What this basically says is that if you work for me for the next 30 years, when you retire, I'll keep you on the payroll. But I don't have to set aside any money for you. If the business, my business goes broke the year before you're set to retire, you worked for me for 29 years, what are you going to get paid out of your deferred compensation plan? 0. Nothing. So deferred compensation is a type of a non-qualified plan. It is discriminatory. It is unfunded. If the company goes broke, you won't get paid anything at all.